why don't we start off, Scott? Why don't you tell us who you are, where you're at, and a little bit about your business to begin with?
Well, my name is Scott Foust, and I own Scott Foust Studios in Phoenix, Arizona. And
Mm-hmm.
we're pretty much cover all of the whole Southwest area. We travel to California quite a bit. We have kind of two divisions of the studio. We have what I call the ACE division, which is our advertising, commercial, and editorial side of the business. And that
Okay.
also kind of applies to our regular consumers, which are family portraits, high school seniors, newborns, maternities, that kind of thing. And then we also have our events side. And the event side is everything from private events, birthday parties, anniversaries, all the way up to our big corporate events, which we shoot for clients from all over the world that come here to Arizona to enjoy our amazing weather.
Cool. So how does the business segment up, Scott? Because you do a lot of commercial work, don't you? Yes. Okay. So that's going to be your driving factor in the business, I'm assuming. Are you going to be, or the largest percentage of it?
Believe it or not, right now it is about 50-50 on the event
Okay.
side and the ACE division side, which is a little surprising, but we've really been building up the event side, not on purpose. It's just kind of happening very naturally. And
Okay.
so, but yeah, we're running 50-50. Before pandemic numbers, definitely the commercial side was about 75%. And then during pandemic, the event side just went completely away, and corporate work actually kept us really busy. So more commercial work. Then it just exploded right when we opened up. And of course, Arizona is the Wild West. So we were unmasked and going crazy out here and doing stuff outside, during the winter months when everybody else is packed up in the cold. We're moving along just fine. So somehow I managed to take that and opened it up so that when the world started coming here, it just exploded out from under me. The event side's taken off.
I just think that there's a whole different mindset with everybody now after COVID and all of us going through that such a strange experience, of having all those things literally taken away. And like now, if we have the opportunity, we're going to do it,
I agree. And I think, I think anytime there's any kind of major event, if it's a recession, so everybody gets really tight with their money, you got to kind of rethink how you are presenting yourself. And, like back when I used to shoot weddings, which we no longer shoot here really anymore. If a client comes along and says, we want you to shoot our wedding, I usually throw a crazy number at them. And if they say, yeah, then I'm like, okay, I'm on, I'll do it. But for the most part, but weddings is a great example, and this has led to the corporate event side, and even the just the event side of the business in general. Is I basically built up a different pricing platform where the client actually is in complete control of their budget, or they feel like they are anyway. And I just broke everything down by hour, with 2 or 4 hour minimum, depending on what the project is, and then everything has its own price point. Every product has its own price point. Every book we offer, every print we offer. So literally a client can go through and go, well, I want to do 8 hours of coverage, and I need a second photographer, which sometimes I give them the option, sometimes I don't on that. And then I want to have this book and this book, and I want to do these prints. It just all gets built right in, and they can see their number right there, right before they ever even start the project. They see what they've got.
So you've got a completely a la carte schedule for your events.
Yep, completely a la carte. You can sit down and just literally, of course, everybody's wish list is huge, and they sit down and they look at that and they see that number and they go, oh, and then they immediately start scaling back, or they reach out to me. I'm very quick to let people know, please reach out to me. I am happy to help guide you through this and help you to determine where you really need photography, because a lot of people think they need photography at the end of the evening after everybody's been drinking and they're sitting down eating dinner and they want to get photos at the table. And I'm going, nobody wants a picture of themselves eating.
Right.
You don't need it, and
nope.
Nobody likes that. And so, you just, and then they start trusting you right out of the gate, and then they'll add hours on where they need it. And it's just a really amazing kind of thing. But it's all
Yeah.
about building trust and all about letting the client feel like they're in control of
Oh, totally.
of the whole situation and their money.
Totally.
Yeah, and nobody likes any surprises. So to know that up front, I'm sure that is a very popular thing.
Right.
So
I'm sorry, Matt, I'm moving all over the place as I'm talking to you, and I'm going to try to set this thing down.
okay,
There, how's that?
there we go. That's great. So
So now you are coming to us live from your new studio. So tell us about this new space here, and it looks like an awesome commercial style environment.
Very, very commercial space. So I moved from a 800 square foot tiny little boutique, all white, just really cool little space in Old Town Scottsdale. It had kind of a more retail feel to it, although we were by appointment only. We were never open retail hours. That turned into the business. I probably would have moved out during 2020 when COVID hit, but when COVID hit, that changed the rules completely. So I waited, and then sure enough, November of 2021, a magazine that I do a lot of shooting for, their media company, ran into this building I'm currently in, which is in Central Phoenix, and the shooting floor is 1,800 square feet.
oh wow.
That's what you're seeing behind me here, just a little bit, right? So
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, we've got this awesome site. Well, we've got the ability to drive in. We've just got a lot of stuff happening here. But it is a shared space. So I have an office inside the building, obviously. And then this is the actual studio that I'm sitting in. And this space is shared with a video content creator who is very, very popular and an ex-news anchor here in the building. So we share the studio space. So we have to have a joint calendar where we can sit down and see what everybody's doing. But so far it's been amazing.
That's awesome. And that makes sense. You're going into a much larger space, and if you don't need it all the time, there's no harm in having somebody split the cost of that. I mean, it just makes sense. Yeah, for sure. And especially the way your business is going with your, the events side of it growing so much, it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, so all summer, we're shooting in the studio pretty much every day because it's 110 out. Who wants to be in that? But now that the events have really rolled in and are picking up, we're doing our commercial stuff in here, but we're mostly out on location shooting at the resorts around town. Also, too, just an FYI, this is $500 a month cheaper.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I'm saving money actually by moving in a bigger studio where I can go after the bigger advertising and commercial clients, and have the space that impresses the art directors and the creative directors versus that little tiny boutique space that can hold maybe 6 people, maybe, now I can hold an army here. It's amazing.
Right. That's amazing. Well, very, very fun. So next question for you here, Scott. Since you've been in business, you've done a lot of things. You're very vested into photography. What is one of your most successful ideas that you've put into practice that has repaid you with dividends, whether it be financially or emotionally, or what's something you look back on your history in the studio and be like, yep, this thing worked and it still works, or I did it this one time and it was amazing. Is there anything that pops into your mind?
Yes. The thing that really was a game changer for my studio for income, for booking jobs, getting clients, putting the word out, believe it or not, was, and I do this at events, but this trickles down to, it's how I land corporate jobs. How many of us are shooting an event, whether it be a wedding or whatever, and somebody walks up to us and says, hey, do you do headshots? And the answer is yes, I do. Here's my card, reach out to me, let's get you taken care of. So the thing that helped me a lot was, call this the secret sauce. When I shoot events, I actually hire an extra photographer from my team to come on and actually photograph what I probably should be photographing, but I am actually networking. I am meeting clients. meeting new clients. I am chatting with people. I'm visiting with them. I'm doing it very, very naturally. I'm not sitting there going, hey, you need pictures? I'm not doing any of that. All I am doing is just walking up going, hey, you know, what's going on? Do I know you? I know you. Where are you from? And I try to find that connection. We have a quick conversation. I move on. Next event, 2 or 3 down the road, I see that same person again. We have a little bit of a connection. We can chat and talk. Sure enough, question will come up. Do you do family photos? Do you do corporate photos? Do you do annual reports and brochures that, hey, my husband's business needs, you know what I mean? And it just, so the biggest thing was bringing in an extra photographer, because I'm now busy talking and I'm not actually working. And actually network and build my business that way. I'm still taking photos. I'm still doing everything I need to be doing, but I'm just taking that extra moment, and it's just been amazing.
That's cool. So really that personal connection, and that's you're utilizing that second shooter to free you up to work the room, to
network.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I can tell you when I had that aha moment. My brother, who's an awesome businessman out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I were sitting down talking. We were just brainstorming ideas of ways to promote the business. And that idea popped up in my head, and I went, let me give it a shot. And I mean, it didn't take any time for that to start paying off. I was amazed.
That's awesome. And you're so personable that I'm sure it's super easy for you to just, filter into the room and spread out and do what you need to do,
I would like to think so, but I can tell you, I think any photographer worth their weight in gold has got a personality that goes with it. Right. And so yeah, but yes, walk in the room, smiling the whole time, just being nice. And of course, you're exhausted at the end of the night. You should be.
Yeah. Right. If you're doing it right, you should be, for sure. Yeah, that's awesome. So looking into next year, Scott, what's up your sleeve? What's coming for all of your facets of business?
So what I'm doing right now is I'm actually kind of changing the way we're running the business. And I don't mean necessarily running it, just who's running it. So what I've been doing is I've kind of been running it, and then I go out and do the photos for photography. I have an assistant who is doing all of the pre-setting up, who also helps organize the files afterwards. And as a lot of us know, it's the post-production side of it that can really, really take up a lot of time. So I'm trying to set up teams now so that I can get the post-production, editing, culling, editing done to my liking, to my quality. Or at worst case, I have somebody who does everything right up to like the color correction part of it. Then I can take over from there, because that's super easy to do. But it's also, I think, a huge part of my style and the product that I offer my clients. I can't tell you how many clients are like, just send it to me. Don't do anything to it. And I'm like, oh, no.
That's not how this works.
That's not how I do this. And I'm not about to send out an inferior image. And so I am trying to set up the system so that I can actually shoot more, and then have the team in place to be able to do all of the editing, culling, process on the post-production side. I already have my retouchers in place and my designers in place for any work that comes along that we need to do that, like custom holiday cards or whatever. And my retoucher is amazing. So I have all that taken care of. So, and then I'm bringing in somebody who is here now and training to actually run the business. And so now I've got someone running the show, no photography skills at all whatsoever. All she does is run the business and answers the emails, sends out the estimates, schedules, takes care of the taxes, all of that stuff. Literally just says, Scott, show up at this day, at this time, at this location, do the photography. And then I want to hand that off to the editing team. So that's kind of my big goal now.
Got it.
So you're really focusing on the efficiencies of just running the business, and then that's going to free you up to do what you do best and do more of it. Yeah.
Yes. I tell people all the time, I'm my happiest when I'm shooting. When I'm actually taking photos and out there marketing and meeting people, that I'm thrilled with that. When I'm sitting down answering the 5th email with the same question that's come to me 4 times over again because they're not reading their email, I'm just like, I'm like, somebody else can handle that.
Yeah, that never happens here.
No, no one has the problem with that.
Right.
You know.
So with these changes that you have going on in the business, how are you putting that action into play? Like, are you leading the charge on that, or is this manager that you have that you kind of mentioned, is she kind of taking over that? Like, how are you divvying up that responsibility?
Really great question. She is still in the process of training, and it's going to take a bit.
Okay.
So right at the moment, it's all me. But I have found that if you just kind of put out there in the universe what it is that you would like to do or try, and you continue to put that out there, especially in a positive way, it'll find its way to you. It's really kind of a crazy thing. And so that's kind of what I'm doing right now. Unfortunately, our season is in full, like we're going, I describe it as going down a hill in an old wagon with the wheels just like, like a really steep hill.
Just hold on tight.
Yeah, hanging on, man. Don't fall apart on me now. And you spend your off season getting prepared for this. But I will admit that we've been caught a little off guard. It is way more intense than I thought it was going to be this year. And I'm it's hard for me to say no, especially when someone's going, I want to give you, X number of dollars, thousands and thousands of dollars. I'm going, no, I can't do that. I'm like, bring it on. Bring a nice challenge. But, so it's me implementing, it's me, as soon as she's up to speed and fully trained, the office manager, then I'm just going to go, hey, I'm the idea guy. We need to do this. Just figure it out.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the way you describe that. I pictured you like in that wagon, riding down the hill. But that is, if people were going to be honest and you would take a poll, out of 1,000 photographers, I bet you the vast, vast majority of those photographers would be like, oh yeah, I can relate to that, because, it's a completely different style of business here, but coming into the peak season, we prepare as much as we possibly can, but there's always those things that pop up, that are unsuspecting, and
I cannot imagine being a lab coming into what we're coming into right now. Every holiday season, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Last year was zero fun. Zero.
And it doesn't, it almost like it just starts off like, go, it's not like a roller coaster. It's like, that's those off peak out, you're getting ready. And then all of a sudden it's just, and you're in the back of the roller coaster just going,
Yeah, no, but that's, that's the photography world, and whether you're in, Arizona or Minnesota or Washington, I mean, we all have our seasons that we photograph, and it's, you work a full year in half that time.
Right. You got to reap it in. You take it in while you can. And I don't do mini sessions, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not doing mini sessions. Mini sessions to me, and this is I'm gonna wrinkle a lot of feathers here, but mini sessions to me lessen your brand.
Yeah.
Unless you can really find a way to, and you've been doing a lot of this with the Hive, and I love that you've been doing this, finding ways to turn those mini sessions into a real positive cash flow. It's not just you walk away with a bunch of money that day, shooting a bunch of people over 2 or 3 or 4 hours. You on the back end, it's, all that money that's left on the table is no longer left on the table. You're finding a way to bring that in. That's awesome. But most mini session photographers I know, they just shoot and then just move on, and it's like, look what I made today. And they're, and I'm like, man, you just left so much money on the table.
What did you actually leave behind is the question there. And I have this argument, with people all the time, like, just because a mini session is a little bit shorter, maybe not, why sell yourself short on the sales end of it? There's no reason to. There's no reason to discount that stuff. There's no reason to not do a full sales experience for your client. I mean, there's just no reason to do it. And sometimes people bring in another photographer to shoot those mini sessions, so they're actually spending more money to do them, and then they're doing discounts. It's like, no. Time out, So and I think that the tide is changing on those, and they're a good way to fill the calendar. But then you have to follow through, or you're leaving, like you said, a tremendous amount of money on the table, which is sometimes hard for people to wrap their head around. But okay, so next question. Most photographers that I know and that I've talked to, and I have the pleasure of talking to hundreds of photographers across the US, have a very strong reason why they do what they do. Something in their past, a relationship, a passion of theirs. What is yours, Scott? I'm curious.
For photography?
Mm-hmm.
Taking photos in itself? Okay, fun story. My mom is an artist and taught painting. And so I grew up with people coming to the house every Thursday evening for a oil painting class that she would have. She refused to teach me because kind of like, you trying to learn how to drive from your dad is not a good idea. Yeah. And so she signed me up at my begging, signed me up for art classes at 6 years old.
Oh, wow.
So now fast forward 6 years, I'm 12 years old. I'm drawing pictures of barns. So keep in mind, my family, my mom and dad, both are from Indiana. But I was raised in Louisiana. We moved down to Baton Rouge.
Okay.
But we would go back to Indiana to visit all the time. My grandparents and uncles and aunts and everybody and cousins. And we would drive around and I would take a 110 camera. Do anybody remember or know what that is?
I do.
Yeah, I took a 110 camera, little teeny thing, but negative about, how big is that negative?
Right.
And back in the film days, and I would take photos of barns and mills and just the countryside. And then I would go back and I'd paint those things. So in watercolor, mostly pen and ink, watercolor, charcoal was my medium of choice. At 12 years old, my dad bought himself a Canon A1 program camera and gave me his AE1 Canon. Hence one why I'm a Canon shooter. It's the first camera I held. And I immediately realized if I took a really good photo of what I wanted to draw, I wouldn't have to spend months drawing the thing. And that's what started the whole process. So when in high school, I got approached by some friends of mine who were on yearbook, and they said, hey, we know you have a camera. We know you like taking photos. We know you're an artist. Do you mind taking photos for us? That's when I discovered people and photographing people. And that really is when I said, I can make this a career. I definitely want to do this. And of course, who doesn't pick up a National Geographic? I think we had a massive collection of National Geographics, that inspired me, to travel. And so that was pretty much the start of it. And I've never looked back.
Yeah, that's awesome. I learned something today, Scott. I was curious about that, so thanks for sharing. That's really neat. So you and I share that in common. My mom was an art instructor as well.
Oh, cool.
And she is an interior designer. She actually taught art for several years and had her own store and created, she to this day, and she's not in good health anymore, but to this day she's still creating, but she does work with metal
and sculpture.
Oh, really?
And stuff like that. Yeah. So
yeah, very, very interesting.
Curious, what medium was she teaching when she was teaching art?
That's a good question. I have some of her stuff, and some of it is pencil, some charcoal. I've got some paintings. But mainly what she does now is she's doing, I'm not doing a good job of describing it, but she'll go find a crappy old piece of furniture, and buy it from a yard sale or whatever. And then she'll basically take an inspiration image from online somewhere, and she'll create that image or that piece of furniture out of this pile of crap that she bought for $1 kind of thing. So she's taking her, her art. She's not necessarily painting images so much anymore, but she's taking that inspiration and designing furniture and lamps and tables, and she does stuff all the time. I can't keep up.
She's creating and making, right?
Yes, she's definitely a maker.
And she's thrilled when she's doing it. How many times do you run into some corporate individual, accountant, lawyer, whatever they are, but they're amazing painters, and they just go home and they release, and so I think as artists, we're lucky that we're actually able to, make a living doing it, and we're able to do it all the time. Now, the tricky part about photography, and I tell people this all the time too, is the creative part of it. Like people like your mom and my mom, you would create when the inspiration hits you, right?
Yeah.
You wake up in the morning, you feel inspired, you paint or you create or you make, or like 2 o'clock in the morning, you're having trouble sleeping, you have an idea,
Yeah.
As a photographer, we have to be basically ready to go at 2 o'clock on Friday. We got to be.
Yeah, exactly. It's creative time.
Right. So that's, figuring out, like, I look at my schedule and like, it's very hard for someone else to schedule for me. This is one of the things my new office manager is having trouble wrapping her head around. It's very hard because it is literally a day-to-day process of when can I schedule myself? Because I can look at the calendar and go, wow, looks like a really busy week that week. I probably am not going to be all that really charged up and ready to go take photos that day. Let's maybe move it another day and give me a day off, or the other way around. Heck, I'm in the middle of it all. Let's just go, and just don't stop.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's, I'm glad you said that. That's a really good point, because it is true. Like, my mom is definitely that way. Like, she runs on her own schedule, whatever she wants to do, whenever she wants to do it. And photography, it's like, okay, we have 4 sessions today, so you best get your butt on in the creative mode here.
And how often do we wake up and we're like, God, I'm really just not in the mood to be dealing with someone right now. But you've got to. So you learn those tricks as a shooter, what we all do, no matter what we're doing, and not just photography, but you learn those tricks, right? To kind of like get yourself psyched up and get yourself ready. Maybe you just need 15 minutes to just kind of go chill and sit outside and look at nature for a minute, and then come in and hit the ground running, whatever it is.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, for sure. So I have one more question for you. In your years of business and all the things you've done and accomplishments, if you were going to go back and give yourself a piece of advice, or if you were going to give a piece of advice to everybody that's watching today, what would that one thing be, Scott? Like, what would the if you do this, it's going to help you, as you're moving through?
Well, definitely the hiring an extra photographer to kind of just help me to be able to network. I think that would be something I would have told myself a long time ago. Hey, just take advantage of this opportunity. But I'll be very honest with you. The ups and the downs of the business, of the economy, of photography, staying current is a big one. Just kind of always seeing what's out there, staying inspired. Kind of always teaching yourself, always learning. But the biggest one would be, and I'm really trying to do this now, is because I've been doing this since 1984, getting paid. Ooh. Yes. Wow. Started in high school. Enjoy the ride, enjoy the moments, enjoy what's going on around you, and just, be even those times when you just don't feel like you're there. I just tell myself, how lucky am I to be able to be here doing this, and I'm supporting my family, and we have a nice house, and let's just kick back and relax. And yes, it can all go away in a heartbeat, but anything can happen at any moment, and we don't know that. So enjoy the ride. Smile, have fun. Don't freak out. Don't worry about where the money's coming from. I know that's very, very hard. You look at your calendar and it's like, oh my gosh, we're right. But if you're doing everything you can and you're passionate and you love it and people see that and your work is quality, man, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Be smart, don't be stupid, but.
Right.
I like that you said that. It's very easy to not be present.
Yes.
And to constantly wonder and worry and be anxious about what's to come, and then we forget how to live.
Yep. Stop and smell the roses.
Yeah. Take that deep for a ride.
Oh man, I do that all the time. I'm like, I will. In fact, I can promise you, that is probably going to be happening this week. I think I have Saturday off, and I start up a whole nother gig for a Chicago client on Sunday. So
Okay.
Saturday, I'm guarantee you I'm going to be just going out, and you
That's awesome.
pack a lunch and just take off with the family or kids or whoever wants to go and just disappear.
Right.
That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you doing this with us today, Scott. It's always fun to hang out with you, and congrats on the new space.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And you guys hang in there. Y'all are awesome. Yeah,
Thank you.
literally, White House Custom Color now is my sole lab. Nobody gets anything else. I used to have a book company. I used to have none of that anymore. You guys have definitely set the bar high. Y'all are amazing. And I have no issues with sending you my work. None.
Awesome.
Well, we appreciate it, and thanks for the kind words. It's always fun to see your face pop into a webinar. When you're through your busy season, you'll have to join us again, and yeah, awesome. Well, appreciate it, Scott. You enjoy your day, and I hope you have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Matt. You guys have a great one too, and have a great webinar.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.